Welcome back to Bad Things in History, where there is no price too high for a little fame. Niagara Falls attracts visitors from all over the world. They travel great distances just to watch the rushing river and the giant waterfalls. For most people, simply seeing this natural wonder is enough. Since the early 1800s, a few strange individuals have felt the urge to jump in the river and go over the falls. Some succeeded and survived, but many died. Why did they do it? Today we are going to tell you several stories about daredevils who risked their lives at Niagara Falls. The Daring Yankee. Performing stunts in public is an old and cherished American tradition. Sam Patch was perhaps the first person to choose this strange fate. Sam was born in Pawtucket, Rhode Island in 1799. Life was hard in the early 19th century, so as a small child, Sam had to work every day in a cotton mill. Although working with cotton was difficult and exhausting, Sam still had energy to entertain his friends. During lunch breaks, he would jump off a nearby dam to entertain spectators. As Sam left childhood behind and became a young man, he moved to Paterson, New Jersey. The only job he could find there was working in yet another cotton mill, but in his spare time he continued jumping off tall structures. Little by little, Sam's reputation grew, and he started attracting crowds. New Jersey has a 70-foot tall waterfall known as the Passaic Falls. On September 30th, 1827, Sam Patch jumped off the falls and into the water below. The crowd cheered, which inspired Sam to continue performing stunts in public. In the fall of 1829, the city of Niagara Falls was trying to attract visitors to the area. They planned a series of events to bring tourists to the falls. Sam Patch was enlisted to help by jumping into the river. A ladder was extended over a cliff more than 80 feet in the air. Late in the afternoon, Sam jumped into the river landing near the base of Niagara Falls. For several tense moments after plunging into the river, nobody could see Sam, but finally he was spotted on a nearby island. Unfortunately, the crowd that showed up to watch the spectacle was very small, so he repeated the feat a few weeks later on October 17, 1829. This time the ladder was raised even higher, placing Sam 125 feet above the river. A crowd of 10,000 watched and cheered as he plunged into the water below and survived. Sam gained nationwide fame for these stunts. One of his slogans even became a popular saying around the country. Some things can be done as well as others. His career as a daredevil would come to a sudden and unfortunate end. On November 6, 1829, Sam traveled to Rochester, New York. He planned to jump off the 94-foot tall waterfall in the Genesee River. He walked out to a rock in the middle of the waterfall and threw a bear cub off. When the cub emerged safely from the water, Sam decided he would probably survive as well, so he jumped and safely made it to shore. Although the stunt was successful, it didn't raise much money. Trying to earn more cash, Sam decided to attempt the stunt again on November 13, 1829. However, this time, Sam didn't land feet first. Spectators heard a loud impact, then never saw Sam again. Sam was found in early spring. His body was frozen, then became trapped in the ice. After being thawed, he was finally buried. A wooden board was placed over Sam's grave, which said, "Here lies Sam Patch. Such is fame." Hero of Niagara. For the daredevils who followed in the footsteps of Sam Patch, simply jumping from the falls was not enough. Carlisle Graham was born in Wilmington, Delaware in 1850. At the age of 14, he moved to Philadelphia and began making barrels. Carlisle was very athletic and also played baseball. However, he really wanted to live a life at sea. So, as a young man, he began working on a boat. Matthew Webb was an English swimmer and famous stuntman. He was the first person to swim across the English Channel without assistance. He also broke several speed records for swimming long distances. In 1883, Matthew tried to swim in the rapids below Niagara Falls. He drowned during the attempt. Carlisle Graham thought he could do better than Matthew. On July 11, 1886, Carlisle decided to climb into a barrel and ride it through the rapids. He survived and decided to try it again on August 19th. This time, Carlisle kept his head out of the barrel. It might have been pleasing for spectators, but ultimately it was a bad idea. A strong wave hit the side of Carlisle's head and permanently damaged his hearing. Over the years, he would make several more attempts to go over the falls in a barrel. In September 1889, he decided to finally make it happen. Before climbing into the barrel, he told reporters, "I may be tempting God's providence to try to go over the falls, but it is the ambition of my life to do this. I am satisfied to die if it is necessary. Goodbye, boys." He successfully went over the falls and into the rapids below. When the barrel was retrieved, Carlisle was still trapped inside. He was too tired to open the lid. He had also taken a hard blow to the head. Although Carlisle was the first person to go over the falls in a barrel and survive, he did not go over the largest of the waterfalls. That honor would belong to a woman. Carlisle made his final trip over the falls in July 1901. He passed away at his sister's house on May 3, 1909. Supposedly, he died from a cold. Queen of the Mist. Sometimes women also feel the need to risk life and limb. Annie Edson Taylor was born on October 24, 1838 in Auburn, New York. Her father passed away when she was only 12 years old. He had owned a flour mill which provided a comfortable living for the family that was left behind. Annie would grow up to be a school teacher. She eventually married and gave birth to a son, but her life would not be a happy one. The baby passed away, and a short time later, so did Annie's husband. Annie traveled from place to place, trying to start a new career. At first, she wanted to be a dance instructor. Then she tried to become a music teacher. After failing at every attempt, Annie finally settled down in Bay City, Michigan. Unfortunately, she didn't learn from past mistakes. Annie gave her remaining cash to a minister. He took the money and disappeared. Then she became homeless when her house caught on fire. By 1900, she was penniless, homeless, and had no prospects for the future. Annie Edson Taylor devised a plan to reverse her fortunes. She would become the first person to go over Niagara Falls in a barrel. A custom barrel was made for Annie's attempt. It had a mattress inside to try and reduce injuries. Before trying it herself, she put a cat in the barrel and sent it over a smaller waterfall. The cat survived with a bleeding head. What the hell is wrong with people? Annie took a picture of herself with the cat and the barrel. On October 24, 1901, it was Annie's 63rd birthday. It was also the day she would finally ride a barrel over the falls. More specifically, she would travel over Horseshoe Falls, which was the largest of the waterfalls. A rowboat traveled to the middle of the river. Annie climbed into the barrel and the boat released her. The current started moving the barrel, slowly at first, then faster and faster. Finally, she went over the edge and into the rocks below. Annie and her barrel survived the plunge. They were found about 20 minutes later. After being rescued, she told a reporter, "If it was my dying breath, I would caution anyone against attempting the feat. I would sooner walk up to the mouth of a cannon, knowing it was going to blow me to pieces, than make another trip over the fall." If you want to know what that feels like, we suggest an earlier episode called Execution by Cannon. Annie tried to earn a living by speaking about her stunt. It worked for a short time, then interest evaporated. She never earned a significant payout for surviving her trip over the falls. Annie died on April 29, 1921, at the age of 82. Over the falls. Although some daredevils survived their stunts, the majority of people who went over the falls did not live to tell the tale. Some of those who died were seeking fame, for others it was an unfortunate accident. In 1920, Charles Stevens was a barber living in Bristol, England. He and his wife had 11 children. To supplement his income, Charles performed stunts in his free time. One day, he decided that going over Niagara Falls in a barrel would help pay the bills. On July 11th, Charles decided to finally perform the dangerous stunt. Against the advice of other daredevils, he tied himself to the inside of the barrel. He also placed an anvil in the bottom of the barrel and tied himself to that as well. Charles didn't survive his trip over the falls. The only thing that was ever found was his severed right arm. On July 9, 1960, Roger Woodward was 7 years old. He was in a boat with his uncle and sister. The boat lost power and the current pulled it over the falls. Tourists at the base of the falls grabbed Roger's sister. The crew of a boat rescued Roger, but his uncle was swept over the falls, never to be seen again. On July 2, 1984, Carl Sochik decided to go over Niagara Falls in a barrel. He survived the attempt. However, in 1985, he tried to recreate his stunt for spectators at the Houston Astrodome. His barrel was supposed to fall from the rafters and into a water tank. An accident caused the barrel to be released early. It hit the side of the water tank and killed Carl. Jesse Sharp was a well-known whitewater canoeist from Tennessee. On July 5, 1990, he decided to ride his canoe over the falls. But he decided not to use any safety equipment. Jesse didn't use a life jacket. He also didn't bother wearing a helmet. His canoe emerged from the base of the falls, but Jesse's body was never found. On October 1, 1995, Robert Douglas Overacker had an even crazier idea. He planned to ride a jet ski over the falls. He was doing it to raise awareness for homelessness. Robert also had a rocket-powered parachute. As he plunged over the falls, Robert's parachute did not open. He fell into the rapids below and died. Kirk Jones was from Canton, Michigan. On October 20, 2003, he went over the largest waterfall without any kind of flotation device and survived. He had numerous scrapes and bruises, but was otherwise unhurt. Kirk was the first person to ever live through such an attempt. He returned to the falls in 2017. Kirk had a friend film his second trip over the falls. He jumped into the river holding onto a large inflatable ball. This time, Kirk did not survive the experience. Niagara Falls is irresistible for daredevils. Unfortunately, it also attracts suicidal individuals. Between 20 and 30 people still die every year by going over the falls. What do you think about the people who have challenged Niagara Falls? Are they brave or perhaps a little crazy? Let us know what you think in the comments. If you enjoy this strange channel and our often random content, then please help us out. Like this video and any others that interest you. Subscribe if you haven't already. The only way we can grow is with the help of viewers like you. Thank you for watching Bad Things in History.